My papa was never large in stature, yet he always seemed so big. He radiated vastness with his stoic nature, his strength, and his tenacity. But my papa could be grumpy, and I mean grumpy. For a while, I had a little joking rule with him that I would only come down to visit if he said 3 positive things. I remember one day was a stretch, and I had to accept him saying, "Well, I guess it's really not that bad outside," as one of the 3. That was Papa. Well, Raleigh, as everyone else knows him. And I don't mind saying it, because he's probably got a little smirk on his face right now. I've had time to think about his grumpiness in the past few days and talk with a lot of people who love him. And I think I get it now. To understand it, though, you have to understand his life. Raleigh had a lot of unwritten, understood rules amongst the family. No hugging, nothing too feely, and most of all, don't make a fuss about Papa. Well, Papa, you know I never followed your rules, and I'm not about to start. I'm going to tell my stories about you and make a bit of a fuss, because whether you like it or not, you're the type of man that legends are made of. Everyone needs to understand how great of a man you were. Does anyone know how many men in North America make it to 95? 8%. 8. One of those men was Raleigh. He lived a life that beat the odds time and time again. He was fearless. He was anything but average. Over the years, Raleigh cut his fingers off with a lawnmower, cut himself with a chainsaw and drove himself to emergency, fell off a number of ladders, fell through the ice while fishing numerous times, was attacked by a mink in his mink ranch, and almost sunk in a rowboat hauling pulp. All he knew was hard work and pushing himself to the edge. Somehow, he survived it all. The most significant, on average, milestone in Raleigh's life was his participation in the Normandy invasion on the 6th of June, 1944. Although a relatively short period in the life of a 95-year-old man, it was an event that defined who he was to his very core. The regiment was made up of loggers, fishermen, and farmers, people like Raleigh. Because they were such a young regiment, there were many that thought that they had no business being in the first wave of the landing. Boy, did my papa and his friends prove them wrong. Their stellar performance in the divisional operational readiness tests earned their position in the invasion. They were an extremely cohesive, well-trained, and tough unit that achieved objectives far beyond any other unit on the first day of the invasion. They made the most progress despite significant casualties. After a month of hellish fighting, Raleigh was wounded in Carpiquet, which has come to be known as the graveyard of the North Shore Regiment. He recovered from his wounds for 2 months, and he was sent back in to fight through Holland and Germany. Against the odds and a number of close calls, Raleigh returned home. Those who returned from the war dealt with what they had been through in different ways. Raleigh chose to bury it. His work was his distraction. He kept in a lot. I, however, will not. Raleigh was a reflection of the strength and the fighting spirit of the North Shore Regiment. My papa and the men he fought alongside were some true heroes and some tough SOBs. Raleigh tried to return to a normal life and began working 2 weeks after he arrived home. A few years later, Raleigh was living next door to Joanna in Karen Point, or Dead Man's Gulch as he called it. Joanna and Raleigh would both spend time at the Town and Country Coffee Shop on Bridge Street. Before you knew it, Raleigh was offering to drive Joanna home, and the two began going steady. Joanna claims they spent a lot of time traveling the byroads, but wouldn't say what they were doing there. They would go to movies in town where Raleigh would walk so fast that he'd be out of the car and have the movie tickets paid for before Joanna even reached the door. Although Papa may not have been one for signs of affection or believe in buying flowers, he would show up multiple times during the summer with wildflowers that had been picked for Joanna. Like those flowers, their love blossomed and the two married in 1959. Together they had 3 children, Cindy, Audrey Gay, and Floyd. The family will always remember Raleigh as a workhorse. On top of his full-time job at the liquor store, He was up early in the mornings to pull in nets full of smelt and spent evenings and weekends painting, working in his garden, or cutting and hauling wood. He continued this work ethic late into his 80s. Can you imagine an 88-year-old man pulling wood out by hand for miles? Or Joanna catching him shoveling the roof at 92? That was Raleigh. Cindy unfortunately passed in 2005, but was always grateful for everything that her dad did for her. Audrey will always remember the letter that she found from her dad when she moved away at the age of 21. In his own words, "But when I realized you were leaving, my emotions betrayed me. I know myself, I may act tough, but I'm not tough at all. I am putting these few words on paper, which I cannot speak aloud, to let you know that I am proud to be your father." Floyd was often the one that was on the roofs with him in the woods or hauling in nets in minus 45-degree weather. Raleigh never wanted to stop, but moments of care shone through in the simplest ways, from Floyd covering his dad's face to keep him from getting frostbitten, to Raleigh giving careful instructions to ensure that his son did not hurt himself. After all, Raleigh's way was the right way. The love was there. Raleigh did have a soft side to him that came out in a couple of ways. First, for animals. It was an amazing thing to see my grandfather turn into a mushy bundle of love when it came to one of Mom and Denise or Floyd and Carol's many rescue cats. He also had a very deep love for all of Uncle Floyd's beautiful dogs over the years, although none deeper than for Max. You could see the depth of love for this dog in poor Max's waistline. Papa would feed him almost an entire loaf of bread every day. Nana would find pieces of bread hidden in her flower bed from Max trying to get away from Papa's never-ending love. When Max fell through the ice and passed, Floyd and Papa went down to retrieve him. It's the only time Floyd has ever seen him cry. Papa's soft side also came out for his grandchildren. Jordan, Connor, Hayden, and I can tell you so many stories. Hayden's favorite memory is when Papa would color on the floor with him. He would color around the lines because Hayden couldn't yet stay inside of them. Connor's is of playing outside with Papa and Papa pulling Ben off of him when he got too excited. Jordan's is of Papa taking him across Daly Point to see the fox dens. Mine is of Papa picking up his guitar and sitting on the edge of the bed waiting for me to come upstairs. He played countless rounds of Beautiful, Beautiful Brown Eyes, or You Are My Sunshine, which is a song that I now sing to myself. Nathan, Papa's great-grandson, is only one, so he can't tell us for himself, but I'm pretty sure his favorite times with Papa were the rides on his walker at Southern Home. There were many people that were a big part of Raleigh's life. All of his friends that he has fished with over the years, or other good friends and relatives from near and far. He will be very, very dearly missed by his sister Elsie and nephews Ron and Stephen. More recently, his caregivers, Lorenda, Shirley, and Charlene, made sure that he was well taken care of and spent lots of time taking him to his favorite restaurant, McDonald's. Plain cheeseburger, fries, black coffee, and sometimes a caramel sundae. He also made some great friends in the residents and the staff of Southern Comfortville. Two of his closest caregivers came in the form of family, in his daughter-in-law Carol and his son-in-law Denise. Both spent a lot of time with Raleigh and loved to tease and torment him. Very few people find friends in their in-laws, but Raleigh was lucky enough to find them in Dennis and Carl, as he called them. He never could quite get the French accent down. For everything that my Papa was, my favorite part of him was his quiet generosity. There are so many people in this room, this community, and around the world that were helped by Raleigh in some way, shape, or form. He was always, and I mean always, there for people who needed him. He had one of the biggest, most generous hearts, and he gave of himself with no expectation or desire for acknowledgement. So this brings me back to Raleigh being a little bit grumpy. Papa, I get it now. You spent your entire life providing for and protecting so many people. You were a proud, self-reliant man, and it was difficult for you in your later years to accept help from others. but here's what you may not have realized. Those who have assisted you over the past few years consider it a true honor to have served someone as amazing as you. So Raleigh was not average. The average man does not defy the odds time and time again. He did. So Papa, I will be telling stories of one of the most legendary men that I've ever known for the rest of my life. From your son, keep your chainsaw full of gas, your paintbrush wet, your garden well watered, and smelt nets in tip-top shape. There is a season for everything, and you have them all covered. We all miss you. We all love you for it.